I was born in a small village, the kind where everyone knows everyone, and news travels faster than the wind. I was raised by my grandparents because my parents left too soon. A car accident took them both before I even knew how to tie my shoes. Life with my grandparents was never easy. We lived with very little, in an old house with a leaky roof and a garden that was our greatest pride. But despite the hardship, there was love, simple, quiet, and true. At school, things were different. The other kids laughed at my worn clothes, my reused notebooks, and even the cloth bag that held my lunch. "The beggar girl," they'd whisper, or sometimes say it right to my face. I pretended not to hear, but every word felt like a scratch on my heart. The teacher tried to protect me, but she couldn't be everywhere. I came home every day and hid my tears so my grandparents wouldn't worry. The only person who never treated me differently was Ines. She lived 2 streets above mine, and from the first day she offered me half of her sandwich. We became inseparable. We'd spend long afternoons sitting on the curb, inventing stories about what our future would be like. She said she wanted to be a teacher. I shyly said I wanted to be someone important, even though I didn't really know what that meant. The years went by and things didn't get easier. My grandfather got sick, and my grandmother began working as a seamstress late into the night. I studied as hard as I could, sometimes by candlelight, because electricity was too expensive. While the other kids played outside, I stayed home, dreaming of a world bigger than the one I knew. When I finished high school, I didn't know if I'd ever make it to university. But a teacher believed in me and helped me apply for a scholarship. I remember the day the letter arrived. I cried so much that my grandmother thought it was bad news. "I made it, Grandma," I said, trembling with joy. She hugged me tight and whispered, "I always knew, my girl." Life in the big city was a shock. I had no money, no friends, only determination. I worked in cafes, cleaned offices, and studied until dawn. Those were hard years, full of hunger, cold, and homesickness. Inez, my childhood friend, called whenever she could, telling me she believed in me. Sometimes that was the only thing that kept me going, knowing that somewhere someone was rooting for me. Eventually, my hard work began to pay off. I got hired by a big design company where I could finally show my talent. I climbed every step, facing doubtful looks and quiet judgments from those who couldn't believe a village girl could rise that high. But I did. I worked, I learned, I grew. Before I knew it, I was leading international projects, traveling the world, and signing contracts that once felt impossible. My grandparents, now elderly, watched it all happen. I remember the day I brought my grandmother to my office. She, with her old coat, looked around and whispered, "Is this where my granddaughter's the boss?" I smiled and hugged her, hiding my tears. My grandfather had already passed away, but I knew that wherever he was proud too. Years later, I went back to the village. A lot had changed, but some people were still the same, including those who used to laugh at me when I was a child. Some came up to me, praising the miracle that life had given me. I just smiled. I held no grudge. The truth is, if it weren't for those hardships, maybe I'd never have found the strength to dream so big. I found Ines too. She had fulfilled her dream. She was now a teacher at the same school we once attended. We spent hours talking about the past, laughing at our memories, and thanking life for never letting us give up. "See, I told you you'd become someone important," she teased. I smiled, touched, and replied, "And you were the only one who always believed that." Today, when I think about that little girl studying by candlelight, I feel nothing but tenderness. She didn't know what awaited her, but she never stopped believing. Success, I've learned, isn't about money or fame. It's being able to look back and know that every step, no matter how hard, was worth it. And whenever the wind blows hard, I remember the sound of rain hitting my grandparents' roof. The same sound that once cradled my dreams and, without me realizing it, taught me how to endure. And sometimes I think that if they could see it all now, they'd say the love they gave me was the foundation for everything I built.